Taylor's gamble, a thin line between love, lies and life. Taylor Hayes was no stranger to crisis. As a renowned psychiatrist and matriarch of the Forrester clan, she'd weathered more storms than most. Personal, professional, and emotional. But nothing had prepared her for the cruel irony of her own failing health. When the first diagnosis came in, she kept it quiet. It was grim, bleak, and unyielding. Her world narrowed down to test results, hushed phone calls, and sleepless nights. No one knew, not even Steffi, especially not Steffi. But secrets never stay buried in Los Angeles, not in the world of the Forresters. It all began unraveling the day Ridge Forrester, her ex-lover and eternal entanglement, came to her door, not with flowers or another confession of love, but with a name, Dr. Grace Buckingham. Ridge had done his homework. He wasn't buying into despair, not when it came to Taylor. "You have to get a second opinion," he'd said, not as a request, but a demand. "If there's even the smallest chance, don't you owe that to Steffi? To your grandchildren? To yourself?" Taylor wanted to fight him. Wanted to scream that there was no point. But Ridge had always known how to push the right buttons, especially when it came to her children. And Steffi needed her mother now more than ever. So she agreed. Dr. Grace Buckingham, enigmatic and sharp as a scalpel, offered something the others didn't. Uncertainty, a fragile, flickering sliver of hope. Not a cure, not yet, but a window, one so small it might as well have been a crack in a dam holding back years of grief. Mistakes, and broken promises. Taylor latched onto it like a lifeline. And then came Luna. The girl was a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit in the glossy frame of the Forrester dynasty. Young, luminous, with secrets woven into her DNA. Taylor had discovered something massive. Something that could ruin lives or save them, depending on how it was played. Luna was not who she appeared to be, and Taylor, in her desperate state, chose silence. It was supposed to protect Steffi. But Steffi knew her mother. Knew her too well. The lie began to rot from the inside. Steffi, already reeling from personal betrayals and business tensions at Forrester Creations, sensed something was off. She confronted Taylor, not with accusations, but with the hurt disbelief of a daughter who once believed her mother would never lie to her again. And this was the real heartbreak. Not the illness, not the pain, but the fracture between mother and daughter, once again widened by good intentions gone horribly wrong. "You're hiding something," Steffi had said, voice trembling with anger and fear. "This isn't just about Luna, is it?" Taylor couldn't answer. Not fully, not honestly, because how could she tell her daughter that her mother might be dying? And in the same breath admit she'd hidden the truth about a girl who could change everything. It wasn't just about Steffi. It was about legacy, about loyalty, about what kind of world she was leaving behind if the diagnosis proved final. And that was the worst part, she still didn't know. Grace's tests were inconclusive. The treatment could help, or it could accelerate the decline. But Taylor had made her choice. She would fight. She would bet on the slim odds. And that meant returning to the battlefield. The battlefield wasn't a place, but a state of mind. For Taylor, it meant stepping back into the Forrester vortex, where alliances shifted like sand and truths were weapons. Ridge hadn't let go of Brooke, not really. Hope was spiraling. Thomas was Thomas. And Steffi, proud and fierce, stood at the center of it all, shielding her family while her mother slowly unraveled behind closed doors. As Taylor re-entered the fray, she did so knowing the cost. Her silence about Luna placed her on shaky ground. Her bond with Steffi, once the strongest thing in her life, had been shaken to its core. Yet she pressed forward, driven by duty, guilt, and the faintest glimmer of redemption. Then came the fallout. Luna's identity, whatever Taylor had buried, did not stay buried. Secrets, like blood, always find their way to the surface. When it exploded, it wasn't quiet. It ripped through the Forrester mansion like wildfire, consuming everything in its path. Trust eroded, alliances shattered, and Taylor found herself at the center of a scandal that could tear the family apart. Ridge stood by her, for a while. He understood the calculus. Sometimes lies were necessary, but even he began to question the timing, the risk, the ethics of it all. Brooke, of course, wasted no time in using it to her advantage. Her warnings rang louder now. Taylor's judgment was clouded. Her return to the front lines was premature. Selfish, even. But Brooke didn't know the truth. No one did. Taylor's nights were filled with nausea and panic attacks. Her days a blur of scans and cautious optimism. Grace had said the odds were low, but not impossible. A rare treatment, an experimental trial. It might buy her time. It might not, and still, Taylor pushed forward, not because she believed in miracles, but because she had no other choice. She needed to fix things with Steffi. She needed to unearth the truth about Luna and set it right. even if it meant unraveling the fragile truce within the family. She needed to prepare Thomas for what might come. She needed to leave something behind other than unanswered questions and broken promises. But every move she made was scrutinized. At Forrester Creations, the board grew restless. Rumors swirled. If Taylor's condition became public, it could threaten the company's stability. Investors don't like uncertainty, and uncertainty followed Taylor like a shadow. Meanwhile, Luna began digging. The girl wasn't naive. She knew there were holes in her past, things that didn't add up. And when she started putting the pieces together, Taylor had a choice. Confess everything or risk Luna finding out from someone else. She chose silence again. It was a mistake. When Luna finally uncovered part of the truth, an affair, a secret parent, something explosive, it wasn't Taylor who told her. It was someone far less forgiving. The confrontation that followed was brutal. Luna felt betrayed. Steffi felt betrayed. And Taylor, she was running out of time in more ways than one. The worst part wasn't the confrontation. It was what came after. Steffi, exhausted and livid, told her mother to step back. "You want to protect us," she said, "but all you're doing is tearing us apart." It broke Taylor. Still, she didn't tell them about the illness. Not yet. Not like this. The only person who knew was Grace, and Ridge, partially. Even he hadn't seen the full prognosis. The images. The reports. The way Taylor's hands shook when no one was looking. But he felt it. Knew something deeper was happening. He kept close. Offered support. But in his eyes, she could see the fear. Not fear of losing her. Fear of what she'd leave behind. As the days passed, the tension grew thicker. The Forrester family, already strained, began to splinter. And Taylor's clock kept ticking. Then, in a final act of courage, or desperation, Taylor called a family meeting. She gathered Ridge, Steffi, Thomas, even Hope and Brooke. Luna was there too, whether she liked it or not. She laid it all out. The illness. The diagnosis. The gamble with Grace. The reason she kept Luna's secret. Her fears. Her regrets. Her love. It was raw, brutal, unforgiving. And it shattered the room. There were no hugs. No instant forgiveness. Only stunned silence and the weight of truth settling like dust after a storm. But for the first time in months, Taylor felt something lift. The burden of secrets was gone. Now came the hard part, rebuilding what was left. Steffi didn't speak for days after. But she came by, eventually. Sat by Taylor's side. Said nothing. Just held her hand. That was enough. Luna, too, returned. Not to forgive, but to understand. The future remained uncertain. The treatment was working, barely. Grace warned them. It was a temporary win, not a cure. But Taylor had made peace with that. She wasn't looking for forever. She was looking for now. And now, she was back. Not healed, not whole, but unbroken. The bold and the beautiful. A dangerous lie in the name of love in a saga already bursting at the seams with deception, betrayals, and complicated bloodlines. A new storm brews. One that could rewrite the future for multiple generations of the Spencer and Forrester families. Katie Logan is no stranger to secrets. Nor is she unfamiliar with the weight of protecting those she loves at all costs. But this time, she may be stepping into dangerous territory that could irreversibly change the lives of her son, Will Spencer, the mysterious Luna Nozawa, and the ever-reliable Drive, Bridget Forrester. It begins quietly. Katie, gripped by uncertainty and a mother's protective instinct, arranges a secret paternity test. But not just any test. This one is meant to decide the fate of a child, determine who carries the Spencer legacy forward, and more importantly, shield Will from a future bound to a woman whose past is riddled with red flags. Katie doesn't trust Luna. She never did. From the moment Luna reappeared with troubling connections, whispering of missteps and hiding parts of her story, Katie's instincts flared. She knew Bill had been manipulated by Luna once before. She wouldn't allow Will to be next. So Katie doesn't turn to just anyone for the test. She calls in Bridget Forrester, a doctor, a family member, someone with loyalty that goes deeper than just medical ethics. Katie needs someone who won't be swayed by emotion or history. Lee Finnegan is too close to Luna. Finn, despite his best intentions, is Lee's son and Luna's cousin. They're off the table. Katie wants results she can trust. Results that can't be altered. But as the plan unfolds, one question rises to the surface. What if Bridget lies? Luna, for her part, carries herself with strange confidence. When told the test will happen, she doesn't resist. Instead, she welcomes it, almost too readily. Her demeanor unsettles Katie, who expects at least a flicker of fear. But Luna insists, test away. She knows the truth, or at least claims to. Her calmness suggests one of two things. Either she's absolutely certain of her baby's paternity, or she's learned how to bluff exceptionally well. Katie watches her closely, searching for cracks in the facade, but Luna holds firm. Bridget agrees to conduct the test, promising a professional and confidential process. But the problem is, Bridget's sense of duty may go far beyond medicine. Bridget has seen more than her fair share of heartache. She knows what it's like to love, to lose, to be betrayed. And in Will, she sees a young man with his entire life ahead of him. Ambitious, hopeful, in love with Electra Forrester. This baby, if it's his, would be an anchor to a future he didn't choose. More importantly, it would bind him to Luna, a woman whose involvement with the Spencers has already created chaos. Katie doesn't say the words out loud, but Bridget senses the unspoken plea. Protect him. Protect us. Don't let this spiral. When Bridget runs the test, she's thorough. No mistakes, no outside interference. But when the results come in, something inside her shifts. The truth is right there, clinical and final. Yet Bridget finds herself hesitating. It's one thing to report facts, it's another to live with what those facts could do. Confirming Will as the father would shatter his world. He was deceived. If Luna really did manipulate him into that night, what kind of foundation would fatherhood be built on? Could a child born of confusion and secrecy be the start of something stable? Would Katie have to raise another child torn between families, caught in a web of lies like so many others in the Forrester orbit? Then comes the bigger question. What if the child isn't Will's, but Bridget says it is anyway? It would be wrong. Absolutely, undeniably wrong. But is it worse than tethering a young man to a woman he doesn't love? A child he didn't want? And a family legacy twisted into knots? Bridget is torn. She replays the events over and over. Katie's quiet desperation. Will's innocence. Electra's bright future. And Luna, calm and unreadable, standing at the edge of everything. Katie never tells her to lie. She never asks. But the pressure is there, like a pulse beneath the surface. She trusts Bridget to do what's right. But what is right anymore? Bridget looks at the report. It's black and white, clean, unalterable. But all it would take is a few keystrokes. A quiet revision. One name changed. One truth withheld. And with that, a new path begins. One where Will is free, Luna is sent packing, and Katie breathes again. Bridget knows the implications. If the truth ever comes out, it would destroy everything. Her reputation. Her license, her family's trust, but the lie might protect more than it damages. It might save a life, maybe more than one. The weight of the decision crushes her. But in the end, Bridget delivers the results. They say Will is not the father. Shock ripples through the family. Luna's face goes blank. She protests weakly, confused and cornered. That can't be right, she says. There must be a mistake. But Bridget stands firm. I've double-checked. It's conclusive. Katie exhales for the first time in days. Will is stunned but relieved. Electra clings to him, whispering that everything will be okay now. The child, suddenly, becomes Luna's alone. But Luna doesn't accept it. She demands a second test. A new lab. Independent results. She claims sabotage. Someone's lying, she insists. Someone doesn't want the truth out. Katie brushes her off, saying the results are final. It's over, Luna. Let it go. But Luna doesn't let go. She digs. She confronts Bridget in private. Demands to see the raw data. Threatens to go public. Bridget holds the line, but the cracks start to show. Guilt eats at her. Her hands tremble when no one's watching. She replays her choice, night after night. She tells herself it was for the best. But lies, even well-meaning ones, don't stay buried forever. Meanwhile, Will and Electra begin planning their future. A life free from scandal. Katie supports them, proud and quietly satisfied. She believes the danger has passed. But Finn grows suspicious. He's seen Luna's despair. He questions the result. He knows Bridget is family, but medicine should be above bias. Finn starts his own investigation. He tracks the test records, lab reports, access logs, and he finds the change. Not proof, not yet, but a discrepancy, a window of time, enough to raise questions. Finn confronts Bridget. She denies it, barely. But he sees the truth in her eyes. He tells her if she doesn't come clean, he will. Bridget breaks down. Confesses everything. But it's too late. Luna finds out. She goes to the press. The story explodes. A Forrester doctor falsifying medical records? A Logan orchestrating a cover-up to protect a Spencer heir? The scandal is nuclear. Bridget's career implodes. Katie is vilified. Will is shattered. He doesn't know what to believe anymore. Electra pulls away. How can we build something real when everything was built on a lie? She asks, tears in her eyes. Bill is furious. Not just at Katie, but at himself, for not seeing the truth. Luna sues for full custody. DNA tests are redone, and this time, the truth is undeniable. Will is the father. And now, he's locked into a battle he never asked for, with a woman he doesn't trust, and a child he never planned for. Katie tries to justify it. I was trying to protect you, she says. But Will doesn't see it that way. You tried to protect your image, he replies. You didn't trust me to make my own choices. The family fractures. Bridget retreats from public life, her medical license under review. Katie is isolated. Will is forced into fatherhood under a cloud of mistrust. Luna wins the moral victory, but the damage is done. No one comes out whole. And in the end, the lesson is clear. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, even the best intentions can unravel into disaster. Lies, no matter how carefully crafted, always find their way into the light. And when they do, the fallout is never clean. It's messy, it's tragic, and it's far from over.